What would you do in that situation? Give me an example. Your horse comes in, you get on, you're like, I'm gonna have the best ride today. And you get on your horse and your horse is like jitterbugs. Wants to stare out the window, scream for his friends, whirl around. What would you do?
I would keep the reins not tight, but like really hard, but like loose enough where they can still look around.
Yeah, and what would be the most important thing you would keep asking your horse to do?
To keep moving forward.
To keep moving forward. Horses are getaway animals. If you make them stop or you hold them in place or you shorten their reins where they feel like they can't move, you are building tension in your horse. Now, going back to the principles of dressage, if we have tension, is that dressage going to be easy and light and beautiful? No, it's going to be a box of bricks. It's going to be awful. And the judge will see that. And the judge will say, needs more neck length, needs more relaxation in poll, needs more relaxation in jaw. We see these little things, and a lot of it is because of the rider. So it's hard to be relaxed when you're on a tense horse, isn't it? Because we're tiny compared to these big beasts that we love to ride. But that is the most important thing, to let those reins out and let them walk. You're giving them the space to be good and relaxed, knowing they could be a complete jerk, and you just have to be ready to correct what comes along. Because horses are not pre-programmable, are they? You don't get on, push 6 buttons, and have a perfect ride. You know, and you can have an agenda, like I do all the time. I have a training plan, Sarah and I talk about this all the time. Today I need to go over this horse with lateral movements. I need to talk to this horse about doing half pass and doing correct changes of lead. And the horse says, I'm going to kill you today. I'm going to buck you off, I'm going to scream for my friends, I'm going to run into the wall and just be generally horrible. So what do I do with my plan? Do I keep it? It's just not going to work. I have to abandon my plan, and I have to go back to my basics. And that's what I really want to instill in you. Dressage is really about the basics. When we spend time in the basics, I know a lot of people are like, I don't really want to do a lot of walk trot, I just want to jump. Well, if you leave out the basics, the hard stuff becomes almost harder and impossible, and it can end up in some serious problems like breaking things, bones, jumps, horse legs. Cat's helping me. So it's important that we always go back to the basics. So when we have a horse that's not relaxed, when we have a horse that won't go forward, the first thing we want to do is stretch them out and ask them to move on.
She's just exercise riding.
Oh, that's fine.
Sorry.
No, you're
If
not.
I'm in the way, please let me know.
You are not going to. I might make you do things for me as a
An
demo.
example.
Just saying.
And Kate's horse is a jumping horse. And this breed had that from a full suspensory, so he's just doing flat.
Okay.
But guess what we're working on?
Long, straight.
long,
Right.
bend, and walk with the
When we ride a horse, we have 3 parts to an equation to have a successful, safe ride. The first one is we provide forward. We tell the horse, we put the foot on the gas, right? A lot of times horses are like, I'm going to trot now. We do not want our horses to make decisions. 23 hours a day they get to make their decisions, right? They're horses. The 1 hour that we're riding, they're under our kind leadership and jurisdiction. We say when to walk, when to trot, when to canter, when to jump, when to go laterally. We say when to stop. So if your horse is trotting along and just starts to walk and you go, well, your horse just learned, cool, I control the gears. That's a very, very dangerous slippery slope, because then he might say, what if I tried maybe just to stand still and buck her off? If that works, they're going to try and try, because horses are creatures of laziness. They love to work. They love their people. But given their own devices, they'd go eat grass 24 hours a day and just think about you. Said nice thoughts to you. That's all. It doesn't mean they don't love you. They're just not like dogs. They don't try to please us. They just want to be good, right? Okay, so the 3 parts of the equation here, and we'll be able to see this with this young lady riding today. We have to provide forward. It's our decision where we're sending this horse and with what energy. We decide as the rider, benevolent, kind leader. We also provide direction. What happens if you're riding and you're looking at your horse's neck? It might be a very beautiful neck. What happens? Does your horse travel lightly and freely? No, again, like a box of bricks. Your head weighs 20 some odd pounds. It's a big skull box with a big piece of meat inside on top of a spindly spine. We're built real opposite for riding. It would be better if our head were down by our feet for basic support. So when you look down, your gravity starts to fall and the horse feels it. If you don't think a horse can feel you on its back, watch a horsefly land on a horse in 1 square millimeter of skin. Can he feel that? He feels everything you're doing, every movement, every twitch of your muscle. He is incredibly aware of that. So when we look down at our horse and we don't show our horse where we're going, they get sluggish and slow. So we have to provide direction. I want to go to the letter K, make a right turn, 15-meter circle at E. And you stare at it, and you look at it, and you show your horse, we're turning, hold the outside, and go. And the horse goes, okay, or he says not, and then we would fix that, right? They will find their feet. Can you lift a horse up by the feet? No. Never. I don't care if you did weights all day long every day and took steroids. You will never be strong enough because they're just too big. People try all the time. I have a student who says, I like to pick my horse up over a jump. I'm like, I want to see that because I can't even do that. And I'm pretty strong. If you can pick a horse up, I want to see that. But it doesn't happen. Is jumping related to dressage at all?
Yeah.
How? What do we call jumping? What is jumping, really?
Flat with obstacles.
It's dressage with things in the way. So if your flat work is bad or lacking or sticky or your horse is crooked all the time, should you be jumping?
No.
If you don't like yourself, maybe, and you want to spend time in a hospital and rehab center getting your bones repaired, sure. But it's not the best idea, okay? So, dressage, I want you to think about it like Pilates or yoga or balance or PT or whatever. It's a way of strengthening, lengthening, making your horse fluid and relaxed so that you can jump the big fences. Does anybody here know who George Morris is? Aha. What do you guys think of his riding? Or his teaching, because he doesn't ride much anymore. Straightforward is that's a very generous way to put it. Mean would be more clear. So I trained with him when I was little, and I don't jump anymore. I broke my spine a few years ago, and I'm no longer allowed to jump, but I thank goodness for dressage. His dressage is impeccable. He rides better dressage than most dressage riders, like in the Olympics and upper level riders. He rides better than them because he has discipline. He takes his time. If he has a horse that's struggling to canter, he goes to the trot to explain it better. And so that's why his horses and his students' horses can pretty much jump, and I mean anything he puts in front of them. Because they're light, they're fluid, they're forward, they're straight, and they have a rhythm. So they find their feet. The rider provides 2/3 of that equation. She provides forward. She provides direction, and the horse says, I'm light, I'm nimble, I got it, I'm going, jumps. So it's all very related, and it's all very important. It's easy to get flustered. Has anybody ever been frustrated with their horse? Yeah, if you're not raising your hand, you're lying. Okay? Yes, you do. Daily, I ride, trainers, Sarah and I, as an example, ride sometimes 10 horses a day. You better believe 2 of those are going to just really make me grumpy. Unfortunately, we may not take that grumpy feeling out on a horse. When a horse does something naughty, why do you think he's being naughty? That is a really relevant point, because you taught him. Outright? Like, let's say you see a horse that roots, steals the bit.
No, you teach them bad habits without knowing.
Without knowing, you teach them bad habits. Can you unteach them?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's a really important thing to know. We have horses that do bad things. We can't punish them. They don't understand the way we do. Right? We are the higher being, right? We always need to keep reminding ourselves. They are not going to, when people say, my horse was so good today, it's not because the horse magically decided to be good. The horse decided to be good because the rider was good, okay? It's really rarely the horse's fault. There are idiopathic horses, meaning there's no medical reason that we can pinpoint why the horse acts the way it acts. It's a behavioral thing. It could be that it was abused and we didn't know it. It could be that it has some strange malady that we haven't yet discovered, nor do we have diagnostics for. It could be anything, but that's very, very, very rare, okay? Most horses are just fine. They're acting in the parameters that you give them, the space that you've set up for them. So when we're upset with a horse, rather than punish them, drop down a gate. If it's in the canter, go to the trot and say, honey, let me explain it to you a little better. And then ask yourself, am I really being clear? Am I really explaining to this horse do I even understand it? And the other thing to remember is, and I started riding when I was 2 years old, so I grew up as a teenager with other girls, and unfortunately, and I want all of you to take this home, be nice to each other. If you see somebody having a bad day on a horse, don't go, that girl can't ride. That girl might be having a struggle. She might not know. Her horse might be too much for her. She might be terrified. She might have fallen off last week and got kicked, and she's just trying her best to stay on and not cry. Help her. Go over and say, hi, can I help you with anything? Can I ride with you for a second? Smile, tell her you're doing a good job for such a fractious horse. Help each other. We have a lot of bullying going on in the horse world right now because of social media. I mean, to the point where people are killing themselves, okay? Be nice to each other, it's so important. And I'm an adult, right? And it happens in my age bracket too. So the other thing that leads me to is there's no ego on a horse. You can be the top of your game in phase 1 of a 3-day event and fall off and be eliminated and get no prize and just go home the next day. As an Olympic rider, it happens all the time to people. So don't ever think that you're the best. Think that you're getting better. But ego has no place on a horse. It tends to cloud our judgment. It tends to make us frustrated. It tends to make us treat the horse like a human, which is never going to work. So as Sarah was saying, this horse is coming back from a suspensory issue. Suspensories are ligaments that connect, the muscle to the bone. In the low legs, there's not a lot of muscle. There's no muscle below certain joints, right? It's just fascia, which is the tissue that holds the bone and the nerves and the muscle or the blood vessels together. So when we have a strain in the suspensory, it causes a lot of problem. I have a mare that's been 6 months in a stall. She's delightful because she can't walk around. So I bet she really wants to be jumping. She probably misses it really badly. But because she's a good horsewoman, she's decided to prepare her horse properly as she brings him back. Is he straight? Yeah?
Maybe they can be straight.
Yeah, he's pretty straight. He's pretty a good citizen for it. And how long has he been back in work? Oh, nice. So we have to kind of look at this horse here. Does he have a rhythm? Yeah. What's his tempo like? Describe his tempo. The speed at which his rhythm is traveling. Pretty good. Because he's walking, right? You see a lot of horses and they walk like, oh my gosh, I gotta go. So tempo, we don't need faster when we're riding. We want them to